I have a fun little fact for you that I'm 90% sure is correct, but I think that was the first Daredevil episode ever, like Netflix and Disney, to not include any fight scene of any kind. I don't count just the 2 gunshots we get, all of which were off screen or weirdly cut. I think that was the first episode without a fight.
Wow.
And that's probably why it was the most boring episode of Daredevil. Nay, second most boring episode after the episode that is just Karen flashbacks.
Ooh.
But even that episode has a fight at the end of it. But what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was okay because I like a courtroom drama.
Interesting.
I like a bit of JAG, a bit of SVU. This is like what She-Hulk was trying to do, but better.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I like the idea of Daredevil representing superheroes in a court of law. Even though that wasn't like the premise of like this episode, it ended up like evolving into that. And I enjoyed it from that aspect. But everything else other than the courtroom stuff kind of stunk.
I actually thought the courtroom drama stuff was pretty boring. You haven't watched Better Call Saul yet, have you? No. Better Call Saul is a good courtroom drama that has equal parts courtroom, like him being very, very cheeky and doing things, and then extracurricular activities, which I think is a great format for a show.
Well, they don't show enough courtroom stuff in Daredevil. They show a lot of courtroom, but it's not juicy enough. Matt cross-examines someone, and then he does a really strong closing statement.
I don't think this scratched that itch for me, though, because the arguing in this one to me was Matt says, hey, White Tiger's actually a really good guy. He didn't do it. We know he's innocent as well.
Yes.
And his proof that he's innocent is that he's done a lot of good things as White Tiger.
Yes.
Man is good.
The other lawyer like really just picks that apart.
Well, his picking apart of it was, did you know that sometimes good people do bad things? And the whole jury is like, what?
He was horny, so he dropped him. Man is evil.
It's just not interesting to me.
Yeah.
Whereas like, hey, this person we know is a good person, we know is innocent. It's not a clever play to be like, the only thing I have left is to tell you how nice this guy is. They copy the basic formula from several episodes of season 2 and 3. We have to get this witness from point A to the courthouse, and we can't take him in a cop car because we'll get caught. So we're going to put him in a van. Then the van gets pulled over by the
old
cop.
switcheroo,
And
the old
you're
fake
like,
out.
oh no!
It was the Chinese laundromat man the whole time.
They've done that before.
I checked on the episode time, like, there's way too much time for this guy to like testify and it to be like, oh my God, that's the end. I'm like, he's not going to say like what happened.
And they did the exact same thing they always do, which is the witness that has been perfect up until this point is suddenly like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. Like Matt did zero good lawyering in this episode for me. So it's like this was the episode where Matt is not a good lawyer and hopes for the best half the time. And that just fundamentally annoyed me that he's just like, he didn't do anything tricky outside of it either.
They should have made Matt miss Foggy more. One of the earlier seasons went into that when like they split up for a little bit.
Yep.
Is that he needs Foggy to be a good lawyer. They work well together. They have strong suits. Foggy does the opening, Matt does the closing.
Yeah, Foggy has that exact line where he's like, I'm really good at this, Matt's really good at this, which is why we're really good together. And it's like, that would have been nice if maybe he did lose the case because he doesn't have his law partner anymore. But also his offsider that we saw did nothing as well.
The one Foggy was talking to in the bar in the first episode.
Yes, the one that he makes sure to tell you, wow, you're a really good lawyer. We never see her do any lawyering.
She read a statement in this episode.
She did. She said he's a really good guy. Trust me, bro. All these people think it. You should let him off murder. None of them have evidence. It's also a really stupid trial because of that. It's not interesting because it's literally, this guy says, hey, push my partner. And this guy says, I didn't push him.
Yeah.
And they have no evidence at all.
But at that point, that's why they had to go. They couldn't go on evidence. They had to go on who do you trust more, a cop or a guy who does good things.
They had to go off building character.
That's why Matt had to build him up to be better than a cop.
Except they didn't really bring the cop back in to like, who would you trust more? Because realistically, them voting not guilty was really just saying like, we trust him more than the cop, even though the cop kind of didn't really get much cross-examination as far as those two go. I just didn't really enjoy it as a courtroom drama, and that's what most of this episode was.
I think the courtroom stuff was weak, but I like the idea of the original Netflix stuff was promised to us as, and I think that's what this was even more promised to us as. It's half a courtroom drama, and then you get a bit of vigilante stuff in there as well.
The original definitely did it more in the way of investigating the case. So they have to find things out for the case that then they can use in court. And that's what I think it worked so well about it as well. It was Matt going and doing stuff, finding stuff out in not the nicest way possible.
Yes, he needed Daredevil's help, essentially, to do his regular...
Daredevil was the third lawyer.
Well, that's why White Tiger's conversation with Matt after Matt reveals his identity, where Matt's like, you can do stuff without the mask. And White Tiger's like, but can you though? Like, I can't, you can't, no one really can. And so they only have a short amount of time to build this up with Matt. Like, he needs Daredevil again. Please subscribe to Bergenbeard.
A huge thing for me with most shows and movies is micro goals. So things that they can do or things that the character wants at any given moment. So at the moment, what does Matt want?
To be a lawyer.
Cool, that's fun. What does Fisk want?
To be the mayor.
Cool, that's fun. Seriously, what does Fisk want? Fisk wants to
he
fix
wants
the
to
city.
fix the city. Yes. I want to fix the city. I want to eat my one egg. And
My one egg
orange juice.
omelet. It's so nothingness. Like, he has always wanted to fix the city. In fairness, I guess he was doing it a bad way, and now he's doing it the right way. Even though all we've seen him do is fill a hole. And they're still like, damn, this guy's a good mayor. He hates vigilantes.
They need to show him being the mayor.
But he's not
so
doing
that
anything.
They can show him fail. But like him wanting to be the mayor. So that when he keeps getting like punched down,
He's going to fall into his old ways.
he's like, I tried to get out and you bring me back in.
Him realizing that bureaucracy sucks more than being a kingpin. Because, like, you can't always just say, hey, everyone, fill this hole. You can't, like, that's just not how government works. Government's broken. The actual only way to fix the city was the way he was doing it. Maybe they will do that. We have 6 more episodes left. That's just not very many episodes to fulfill all these things. We don't have any other characters. I was going to say, what does this person want? But girlfriend wants to do her job.
She just wants to be a therapist, get Veronica and Fisk back together.
I don't get Matt's motivations for staying a lawyer, because Daredevil isn't technically what got his friend killed. What got his friend killed was being a Catholic and not killing Dex. If he killed Dex, this wouldn't have happened. They're trying to go with he doesn't trust himself anymore to be Daredevil, or he doesn't think Daredevil exists because Daredevil's a killer now. But Matt's the killer. I just don't think he would go to being a lawyer.
Well, I think he's going to see that after this episode. Like, he says it when he's making dinner for his girlfriend, whose name I always forget.
Once in a while. System works.
And then he's going to obviously find out that White Tiger, spoiler, by the way, White Tiger dies at the very end, gets blasted away.
The Netflix show never did that before.
Which I knew that was going to fucking happen.
He dies so lame.
So lame. As soon as I saw him suiting up, and I'm like, this doesn't look good enough for them to keep him around.
And it's not Punisher, obviously.
Obviously not. Especially because the trailer kind of spoils that, because when we see Matt confront the Punisher, you just see one scene in the trailer of him like pinning him up to a thing.
Bearded.
He's bearded, he's gruff, he's obviously retired from being the Punisher. Why would it be the Punisher? And also they're showing us the cops with the tattoos of the same thing. And
The
like,
fact that I've seen anyone even question, is that Frank?
yes, the tattoos and stuff should have been showed to us after we saw the Punisher, because now we immediately think, oh, there's like a vigilante cop group, you know, who are taking the law or into their own hands, whatever. But if you showed that first, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, Frank's back.
Yeah.
But then afterwards you start showing people with tattoos of it, I'm like, maybe he isn't.
Well, there was a lot of reshoots and rewrites on this show and season. So maybe that was the original plan. Maybe it was added.
Maybe it could have been Frank in the original cut.
Nothing happens, and it's so boring for me. I'm just sitting there waiting.
Even the last episode was pretty boring. If there wasn't that fight in the hotel room in the last 2 minutes.
Which is exactly where this episode picks up with Matt. Except another thing I don't get about Matt, he ended last episode screaming into the abyss because he'd just turned back into Daredevil, which was the last thing he wanted to do. Yet in this episode, he's confronted by the cop that he beat up and is like snarky and sly about it.
He can be Johnny Law in the bathroom in the courthouse. He's protected by being in public.
But if he was so angry at himself for doing the other thing, it just feels weird to me that he's like, haha.
The best cure for a black eye is fast hands.
Objection.
Sustained. Come on, Mr. Murdoch.
Like, that seems too snarky for the guy that was literally just having a crisis of faith 10 minutes ago and lost his friend a year ago. I just don't think they've nailed him down into what he should be.
And also the guy who maybe retired Daredevil because Daredevil is getting his friends killed is now angering corrupt cops as his alter ego, his regular self. his civilian life,
which was something he fought a lot as
he's
Daredevil.
now threatening and like belittling the corrupt cops who have killed people, and he knows kill innocent civilians.
Yeah, and he definitely didn't take the high ground in that situation.
Yeah.
He's like, heard you got punched in the face by a blind guy.
I guess
Loser.
he was just having fun, but they need to pick Matt's mood,
I
definitely.
think they want just comedy. Like, they want it to be funny. But the other character we get, I've seen him called a cuck online a lot, and he's not. Wilson Fisk. He's again playing the same character. Like, the actors are doing the exact same stuff they did for their performances last season. Everything is the same, like them being them wise. They know how to play these characters. They played them for 4 years. But the writing is just wrong for me.
It's very interesting, the writing.
Well, like, we meet him in therapy again, which I'm sure people are going to love. Do you think that Kingpin knows she's dating?
Yes.
Why would he want to be that close to Matt?
I think the show wants us to think that it's Kingpin's idea, but it's actually, I think, Vanessa's idea.
You think she wants to turn him to crime?
Well, I don't know what the ultimate goal will be.
Damn it, she doesn't have a goal either.
It was Vanessa's kind of henchman. It was the English guy. We see him go and talk to the gang stuff, and in episode 2, we see him go and get the book signed.
Yeah.
At her book signing, he's like, "Thank you very much," and then he goes and sets up the therapist meeting
because she had an affair with Adam, the mysterious Adam, and Fisk seems.
I was like, "Did I miss something?"
Fisk seems not too bothered about that, considering the old Fisk would have murdered a henchman to his left that wasn't Adam. He would have just grabbed the nearest guy.
God help what he
killed
would
him.
have done to Adam and all of Adam's lineage.
Thank fuck for Echo. If
Correct.
Echo didn't put him through this therapy, Adam would have no testicles.
That's the thing with, if you believe in the whole MCU and if you watched Echo like any good Marvel head would, or person whose job it is, us, Echo essentially put him through 20 years of therapy and
Fixed him.
counseling in an instant. She got rid of all his trauma.
Which obviously didn't completely work.
Well, now he's doing marriage counseling. It's a bit different.
Outside of that, he's threatening illegitimate children. Probably just the reveal of them. Probably nothing like not beating them to death.
Yeah.
But also in that scene, he does have blood knuckles.
Yeah, I saw in this episode his knuckles were still like all broken and stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, interesting.
That's twice then they've shown us that he's had blood knuckles. So either he's punching a wall a lot or he's not
Or he's
as
still
redeemed.
Yeah.
Which, again, is the whole theme of the show, that they've broken down these two characters and they're born again. Wowee.
It's the duality of them. You see, they're like two ships going the same way.
Matt, all episode, dealing with White Tiger, revealing White Tiger, being like, you're better off without the mask. And then White Tiger being like, no, I need the mask. Look how many people I can help. And then the camera's just like sitting on Matt. It's like, wowee, Matt, if only you realized that Daredevil helped people.
And although people have died on my watch, people who shouldn't have, there are countless others that have lived.
Woohoo! I think
Yeah.
I'm just bitter at this show. I'm so sorry.
It's because we were promised like the return of.
I was promised brutality, and the first 2 minutes of the show has two people getting shot, and they cut away.
Apparently, they were told by Disney, you have the green light, the go ahead to make this more violent than the Netflix one was even.
Then why have I seen none of it?
We see bones broken through clothes.
which we've done in the Netflix.
Yeah, and some off-screen glicking. I'm trying to remember the White Tiger like assassination shot.
The White Tiger assassination, they do even weirder. They show it, but it's a wide shot where he's about to get shot in the head. Then they cut into an extreme close-up of the side of his head and the gun, which I guess doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
And then they cut back out. So it's like, bang! It looks stupid, in my opinion. But with Wilson Fisk in therapy, this episode has the problem that I complain about all the time in so many fucking shows. They've got too many storylines, but they want to make sure they show us a little bit of each storyline every episode.
Yeah.
So this episode, we cut to not Wesley, British Wesley, if you will, to go talk to some thugs and be like, hey, stop doing that. And then what was your favorite line from the episode?
Oh, the guy in the tracksuit goes, I don't talk to the mayor's errand boy. And he goes, I don't work for the mayor. I work for the man.
I work for the man.
But it's interesting because you find out that he was working for Vanessa.
Yes.
Like it was Vanessa's order. So there's this weird convoluted plot going on where you're watching the business be run, which is technically Vanessa's storyline.
Yep.
And then you have Fisk's storyline, which intersects with hers because he doesn't like the way she runs things.
Well, Vanessa's not allowed to run things anymore. She had to give up the evil crime lord business. She's not allowed an evil lair anymore.
She's calling some shots.
Nothing illegal.
He had to pay restitutions of 1.8 million and Fisk's like, like, please don't do that. Like, you need to rule with an iron fist.
I have a goddamn plan.
And then he's like, I have way bigger things in mind.
Vanessa's basically like, babe, please, I want to do crime. And he's like, no, I'm the man the city needs now.
Yes. That's what's going to be so interesting, because the start of this show, they're going to show Matt and Fisk doing a 180, and then they're both going to flip completely back. Fisk is going from crime to good guy. Matt's going from vigilante to good guy.
They did that in the first episode / in Echo. The show's going to be them bleeding back.
But they're going to do it again. There's going to be a crossover where they realize that they can only get things done through whatever roadblocks. Matt can't get lawyering and court stuff done without Daredevil. And then Fisk realizes he can't make the changes to the city he needs to without being the kingpin.
But they already knew that.
I know, but they're trying, and it's so sweet because we get to watch a whole season of show based on it.
I think that's what annoys me about it. It's like I know exactly where this is going. They know exactly where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's not a slow decline. It's not Walter White becoming a criminal mastermind.
Yeah.
It's these people that had season 3 where they were incredibly well defined, and now in one episode / some spin-offs, they broke them down, gave them therapy, killed their best friend, and now we need to watch them just become themselves again.
The story writers are repeating storylines that were previously done. They need to double down on the characters, I think.
I was expecting a lot more character, because if Born Again is your first introduction to Matt, you still have no idea who he is.
Mm-hmm.
With Fisk, I think you get a bit more of an idea. You can more plainly tell that he used to be a mob boss,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's no longer a mob boss. Pretty simple.
Guys, can you fill this hole, please? We can't, boss, or the red tape.
Oh, the red tape!
Consider the permits approved. Guys, we're back in business.
And then just brings them all back in.
Filling a hole shouldn't be this hard.
He's like, it's
and
not rocket science.
Yeah. I'm like,
that's rude.
I'm like, whoa. Civil engineers have to be involved.
Yeah, there was like a pipe broken.
It might be on a bridge, maybe?
They're not just tipping concrete in the hole, my man.
Whoa, good job.
Turns out the city falls apart because he has no idea what he's doing.
I respect that.
Do you know who my least favorite character is?
Therapist.
No.
Oh.
She's okay.
She appears for 5 minutes an episode and reminds us she's a therapist.
Correct. Least favorite character is Gandolfini's son.
Oh, Daniel. He's barely in it though.
I know,
Just
but
he's a zoomer, and that annoys
he's
you?
a zoomer.
Yeah.
He's just playing a dude. He doesn't bring anything to the role. It could have just been anyone else, but
I think he's meant to be average Trump fan.
it had to be him. I don't want to talk about that because the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, oh, it's like a Trump rally.
It's an allegory.
Oh, it's like the Trump inauguration. Women are getting harassed on the street and stuff. I was waiting for like a make Hell's Kitchen great again.
Yes.
He's the campaign guy he's modern. You're trending on this.
Yeah.
He's Barron Trump, essentially. It's like, Mr. Fisk, you need to go on this Joe Rogan thing. You know, you're way popular.
My least favorite character, through technically no fault of her own, is BB. Because the BB
was gonna
report
say,
is
that's-
cancer.
Yes. I hate watching that Johnny on the spot recording of like filming this Puerto Rican man, like half of it's like B-roll of him sweeping, and then it's like, I don't think he's gonna get a fair trial because he's a Puerto Rican and it's gonna not be a fair trial.
Because racism.
And then I'm like, who is this? And then it's like, you're Ben's niece.
Yes.
Oh, you're bringing an actual likable character. Ben was
incredible.
he was like a really good character. And then now it's like Ninja Turtles reboots or something. And then you don't get April O'Neil. You get like, you know, young
plucky.
hip April O'Neil. It's not needed.
I have nothing against BB as a character because she's in it so little. I am a little confused as to why no one told her that Fisk killed her uncle or is heavily suspected to kill her uncle.
Yeah.
Like, if you let Karen anywhere near BB, she'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Whereas she's kind of replacing Karen. She's doing the reporting. But yeah, the vox pops in the street, they're so artsy. They're shot on a camera that
Her
doesn't
liberal
exist.
arts degree is screaming at me. I get it, doll. But it screams to me product of the time. Her storyline should be she has to work at like Ben's old paper, who's now been run by obviously like a Fisk inside man that controls outgoing media. But she's like, my uncle wouldn't have stood for this. She's on a low desk. She has to do stories about dog pageants and beauty parades.
That's basically Ben's story mixed with Karen's story, though.
Yeah, but that's her character. That's who she could be.
Well, it would make her more interesting. She would be doing something because people got mad at me.
And then
'cause I'm like, I don't
guess who
mind
helps
Karen.
her? Karen helps her.
No, Karen's not allowed in this show. She wasn't in the original cut. She might come back after episode 5 because apparently that's where the reshoots start. So it'll change dramatically from what I can tell. But up until that, this show still feels like a hodgepodge to me. No one has anything really to do. The arc of the season is the very obvious, they're going to fall into their old ways. But there's nothing really pulling them down. Matt's going to find out that White Tiger was murdered.
That'll make him spiral.
He did good lawyering, according to the show. Lawyer freeing him was successful. Becoming
He
Daredevil...
didn't need Daredevil to win the case.
Yeah, so he must go see Punisher as Matt.
Matt is going to think the police did it. Matt's going to spiral so deep, he's going to become like a vigilante, like a bad guy. He's going to start hurting people. He's going to... It's hard because he doesn't have vision. He can't see tattoos. I was going to say he's going to see the tattoos, but he doesn't know the tattoos are there. He's going to obviously hear from... what's the retired cop's name who's not retired? Chill, Chloe,
private investigator, man.
Cheese, something. His name is something. He's going to hear from his private investigator friend.
I don't even know who that man is. I saw him in a bar having a retirement party.
He was going to retire, but then in the third episode, he held up a badge, so he's obviously still
did
in the
hold
force.
up a badge.
Or he just had that he just has it for old time's sake.
PI. Because he's not doing cop stuff, he's doing PI stuff.
Yes. So I think Matt's going to spiral, find out about the skull. He's going to be like, I know who has a skull. The skull MO, he's going to find Frank, threaten Frank, and then that's going to slowly be his redemption when he finds out it wasn't, and then there's actually a bunch of corruption going on. And then he's like, no, I need to go back to being a lawyer. So he's going to double back, and then I don't know what's going to happen with Fisk.
Apparently the show is taking back the Punisher logo because a bunch of extremists IRL have used the Punisher logo with a flag in it as an excuse to either do awful things or say awful things, like we're the good guy. Everyone thought Frank was bad, but he was doing the right thing. So this show is like, no, you're a baddie.
This has happened before where a media will take something.
You mean every Marvel show ever?
Yes, it'll take something and be like, it'll just run it into the ground.
You need to do better, Senator. But they are pointing a lot at that logo. So they had the guy at the end do it. They had the tattoo. They had the blatant neck tattoo of the cop
who did this.
And they had the big graffiti with the word triggered in it. Get it?
You triggered yet, liberal?
This is a show about a blind man. So it does feel very forced to keep showing me a logo over and over and over and over.
If I see like one of the cops or the Punisher do this, I'm going to...
I give you my heart.
I'm probably going to commit.
That's all right then. No, this was written before that.
Season 2!
There's still time.
I thought this episode was okay, but I think the show as a whole is really weak. Compare Disney's first season of Punisher to Netflix's first season of Punisher, you're not even close. You're not even trying, Disney.
I think a good way to look at it is the first 4 episodes of season 2, the Punisher arc, are almost completely self-contained and they're incredible. You stare at John Berthol giving like a monologue for like 4 minutes or something, just him leaning up against a gravestone, one shot, and it's beautiful. And I got so bored listening to everyone talk in this episode. Season 2, in 3 episodes, did way more than this. This has done basically nothing with its runtime, and it's really starting to annoy me.
Even the parts that weren't action in the Netflix show, like in the Punisher arc, were so interesting that I almost didn't want to see Daredevil for some of it because I wanted to see where the characters were going.
Yeah.
Man, this was so good. Like the courtroom, like monologue with Punisher was so good.
Compare the courtroom scenes between the two.
I'll do it again, Frank. You gotta subscribe to Bergenbeard, Frank. Yeah, when I subscribe, I put them down. When you subscribe, they're back on the street again and again. I'll do it again.
And that's exactly the thing. It's like they got to Frank, they made him do it because he actually had a reason to do it. Whereas, sure, they might tell us why this witness caved in the last second, but I don't think we're ever going to see him again. Whereas we knew, like, Frank had a reason to do it. It was shocking for us when he caved. We were like, oh God, like what? Like, why is Frank doing this? Is he actually insane? And then they're like, no, he's doing it so that he can go to prison, meet Kingpin, get revenge. Whereas this guy is kind of just a setup so that Matt has a problem in court.
Yeah.
I'm just very bitter with this show.
We'll see where it goes.
Let us know what you guys thought. Did you like it? It seemed pretty split in the comments last week. Like, a lot of people were saying it sucked. A lot of people were saying it was actually the best thing ever and that I'm a moron. So let us know which one you think it is.
Let us know why he's wrong.
It could be both.